Picture this, in the heart of America's justice system. Where badges shine but corruption lurks in the shadows, a group of crooked cops toast their courtroom. Victory until one woman's bombshell revelation shatters their world forever. If you're in the USA or UK and crave a juvier seat, tales of betrayal, redemption, and the raw fight against systemic rot that hits close to home, smash that subscribe button right now. Don't miss out. Subscribe today for more gripping stories that expose the truth and keep you hooked week after week. Your click supports real storytelling that matters. Let's dive in. In the bustling city of Riverton, mid-sized metropolis nestled between the rolling hills of the American Midwest, where the skyline was dotted with gleaming skyscrapers and the streets hummed with the constant rhythm of everyday life. Officer Jack Harlan and his crew of fellow cops had long ruled the underbelly with an iron fist wrapped in a badge. Jack, a burly man in his late 40s with a salt and pepper beard and eyes that had seen too much or perhaps not enough of the right things, had started his career with noble intentions. Fresh out of the academy, dreaming of protecting the innocent and upholding the law. But years on the force, witnessing the endless cycle of crime, poverty, and bureaucratic red tape, had worn him down like sandpaper on wood. It began innocently enough, a small bribe here to look the other way. During a drug bust, a cut of the profits from a local gambling ring there. Soon, Jack and his tight-knit groups, Argent Maria Lopez, a sharp-tongued Latina with a knack for intimidation. Detective Ryan Kessler, the tech-savvy whiz kid who could hack any system. And Officer Tommy Vance, the muscle-bound enforcer with a temper as short as his fuse, had built an empire of corruption. They shook down dealers, protected mobsters for a fee, and even framed innocent people to cover their tracks. The city whispered about them, but fear kept mouths shut. No one dared cross the Harlan Gang, as they were secretly called. Their latest scheme was the biggest yet, a massive drug trafficking operation disguised as a legitimate import business, funneling millions through offshore accounts. They'd rigged evidence, intimidated witnesses, and even eliminated a few loose ends. The trial was the culmination, a high-profile case against a rival gang leader they'd set up to take the fall. As the jury filed back into the courtroom on that fateful afternoon, the air thick with tension and the scent of polished wood and stale coffee, Jack exchanged smug glances with his team from the back row. The judge, an elderly man with a gavel that seemed heavier than his conscience, read the verdict, not guilty. The courtroom erupted in a mix of gasps and cheers, but for Jack and his crew, it was pure elation. They high-fived discreetly, Maria, whispering, "We did it, boys. Tonight we celebrate like kings." Little did they know the real storm was brewing right under their noses. Seated quietly in the front row, dressed in a simple gray pantsuit that blended her into the crowd of spectators, was Elena Vargas. To the untrained eye, she looked like just another concerned citizen in my 30s, with sharp features, dark hair pulled into a neat bun, and eyes that scanned the room with quiet intensity. But Elena was no ordinary observer. She had been watching this trial unfold not as a bystander, but as the architect of a much larger game. As the corrupt cops began to file out, laughing and slapping backs, planning their victory party at O'Malley's pub downtown, Elena stood up slowly, her heels clicking against the marble floor like the ticking of a time bomb. The judge banged his gavel one last time to adjourn, but Elena cleared her throat loudly, drawing attention. "Your Honor," she said, her voice steady and commanding, cutting through the din like a knife. The room fell silent. Jack turned, his smile fading as he locked eyes with her. Who was this woman? She didn't look familiar from the witness list. The judge peered over his glasses. "The court is adjourned, ma'am. If you have business, file it with the clerk." But Elena didn't budge. She reached into her briefcase and pulled out a badge that gleamed under the fluorescent lights, a badge that made the blood drain from Jack's face. "I believe this court has unfinished business," she declared. "My name is Elena Vargas, and I am the director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation." Gasps rippled through the room. Jack's crew froze in place, Tommy's hand instinctively going to his hip where his gun would be if he weren't in court. Maria's eyes widened in disbelief while Ryan muttered under his breath, "This can't be real." But it was. Lena had been undercover. For months, posing as a low-level clerk in the district attorney's office, to gather intel on the corruption ring. Her rise to FBI director had been meteoric, a Latina powerhouse who had cracked some of the biggest cases in the agency's history, from cyber terrorism to international espionage. But this was personal. Years ago, her brother, a rookie cop in Riverton, had been killed in the line of duty, or so the official report said. Alina knew better. He'd stumbled onto Harlan's operation and was silenced. She'd vowed revenge, climbing the ranks not for glory, but for justice. As the courtroom buzzed with shock, Alina laid it all out. Officers Harlan, Lopez, Kessler, and Vansu thought you'd won. You rigged this trial, bribed jurors, tampered with evidence. But I've been watching. The FBI has recordings, wiretaps, financial trails that lead straight to your doors. She signaled to the doors and instormed a team of federal agents' badges, flashing handcuffs at the ready. Panic set in. Jack bolted for the side exit, but an agent tackled him to the ground. Maria screamed obscenities, trying to fight off her captors, while Ryan desperately pulled out his phone to delete files too late, as Alina had already mirrored his devices. Tommy swung a punch, but was subdued in seconds. The celebration turned to chaos, the corrupt cops' empire crumbling in real time. But this was just the beginning. As they were hauled away, Alina revealed the first twist. The not guilty verdict was a setup. The jury had been in on it, plans from the FBI to lure the cops into a false sense of security, making them drop their guard and incriminate themselves further in post-trial communications that were all recorded. Spat, you bitch. You'll pay for this. Alina knelt down, her face inches from his. No, Jack. You'll pay for my brother, for every life you've ruined. The media frenzy exploded outside the courthouse, reporters swarming as the story hit national news. Corrupt cops busted by undercover FBI director blared headlines across the USA and UK, where similar scandals had rocked Scotland Yard. But as Alina walked out into the flashing lights, she felt a twinge of unease. Something didn't add up. Why had the rival gang leader smiled during the verdict? Back at FBI headquarters that night, poring over files in her dimly lit office, Alina uncovered a deeper layer. The gang leader, Victor Ruiz, wasn't just a patsy. He was in cahoots with someone higher up. Digging through encrypted emails, she found evidence pointing to the mayor of Riverton, Harold Benson, a slick politician with presidential ambitions. Benson had been pulling strings, using the cops as pawns in a larger scheme to control the city's drug trade and fund his campaign. The twist hit like a freight train. Benson wasn't alone. Lena's own deputy director, Mark Thornton, a trusted colleague she'd known for years, was on the take. Thornton had leaked her undercover identity to Benson, hoping to derail the investigation. Before it exposed him, Lena's heart raced as she pieced it together. Thornton had been her mentor, the one who pushed her promotion to director. Was it all a setup to keep her close and controllable? She confronted him in a tense midnight meeting. At a deserted warehouse on the city's outskirts, the wind howling through broken windows. Why, Mark? We were supposed to fight the bad guys. Thornton smirked, pulling a gun. Power, Alina? It's always about power. You're too idealistic. I had to clip your wings. A shootout ensued, bullets ricocheting off metal beams as Alina dodged and fired back, her training kicking in. She wounded Thornton in the leg, disarming him just as backup arrived. Agron's loyal to her, tipped off by an anonymous call she'd made earlier. But the twists kept coming. As Thornton was arrested, he laughed maniacally. You think this ends here? Check your brother's file again. Back in her office, Alina reopened the cold case. Buried in redacted documents was a bombshell. Her brother hadn't been killed by Harlan's crew. It was Thornton himself, covering up a botched deal gone wrong. The revelation shattered her, tears streaming as years of grief morphed into rage. But there was more. Victor's gang wasn't rival. It was a front for an international cartel with ties to UK intelligence leaks, smuggling not just drugs but classified tech across the Atlantic. Elena's investigation expanded globally, coordinating with MI6 in London, where a similar corruption scandal had toppled a high-ranking official. In a high-stakes operation spanning continents, Elena posed as a buyer. In a shadowy auction in London's East End, the room filled with shady figures from both sides of the pond. The artifact. Stolen FBI dossiers that could expose undercover agents worldwide. As bids flew, Elena signaled her team SWAT burst in, arrests made in a flurry of chaos. But the ultimate twist among the captured was Benson's wife, a British expat with her own agenda, who had been the mastermind all along. Using her husband's position to launder money through charities, she confessed under interrogation, implicating a web that reached into Pa,